Welcome to Season 2 of the Dimension Approach podcast. Jeff Blanton and I, Lance Hauge, are happy to get started again on Season 2 is going to look a little different than Season 1. Season 1, as it turned out, became kind of an overview of the pillars of the Dimension Approach. We mentioned lots of topics along the way that we promised to go back and dive deeper into. And so we plan to do that during Season 2. There's also going to be a lot more interviews with other people, interviews with clients of mine, interviews with students of mine, interviews with practitioners of other methodologies, a lot of case examples, exercises that people can do to get a better sense of the Dimension Approach and how it works. As we've mentioned before, there's a glossary that Jeff and I are working on where we are defining terms that we're using as part of the Dimension Approach. And then the goal is to get to where you can look up a term in that glossary, and then there'll be links to podcast episodes where we discuss those terms. As far as comments, we're going to talk about ways that you can comment on episodes and where we can get some feedback and some communication back and forth with our listeners. We're all looking forward to Jeff telling his personal story and hearing the details of that. He remains a mystery man to the listeners. I've gotten lots of questions about who is Jeff Blanton, really? And so hopefully we'll get that going soon. And
it wasn't intentionally mysterious. We just went down a different path, like you said, with Season 1. It wasn't meant to be. But if it's a teaser to get people to listen to Season 2, that's great.
Let's see, what else?
I think that's it. I mean, that's really, like you said, it's going to be more variety than the first season. As far as the first season, it was really as intentional an effort as we could make to define all of these different aspects of the Dimension Approach and all of these pillars of it and its application and the methodology. And I think some of the feedback we got was that just wanting more examples or more case studies, like you're saying, wanting more exercises, things to do, things to practice that might elicit some of the shifts that you're talking about. So I'm excited to lay some of those out and get some feedback on those, hopefully get some responses on what works and what doesn't, what makes sense and what doesn't, what's been helpful and what's not, and just continue to layer descriptions and understandings and experiences on top of the base that we've created so far. Because as we've talked about at different times, like the majority of this is laid out in writing in some places by you and in descriptions. And as we talk about it more and more, it feels like new words are coming up to describe it. And I think that's the exciting part of this process is that these concepts are eternal. So there's just things to always talk about, and there's just new ways to describe them, and hopefully just new ways that they will resonate with people, and new ways that they'll become more and more useful to people listening. If you want to learn more about the Dimension Approach, please visit dimensionapproach.com.
That seemed like that went well. Now we got a bunch of false promises.
We made them in January, so if we don't do it, people may not remember.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like resolutions. That's why people can make the same resolution every year.